Hello, hello.
Okay, enough of that. Thank you everybody for coming. Wow, thank you. Shukran, shukriya, dankeschön, whatever. We owe great thanks to Jean-Charles, Shavanthi, Raju, Douglas, the entire St. Vincent staff, who's been a many, many years partner. So it's a great honor for us to partner with St. Vincent Group and present the information seminar for you in aquascaping. My name is Brian Miller. I'm the International Sales Manager for Seachem, lifelong hobbyist and just passionate traveler. And Mr. Luis Navarro is a lifelong hobbyist as well, master aquascaper. He's very humble. He won't tell you, but he's one of the top and most original aquascapers in the United States, in Mexico and the United States. So it's a great honor to have Luis doing the demonstration today. So a lot of feedback. So Seachem, and I'll talk about Seachem. I'll start the presentation and I'll tell you a little bit about Seachem before we start. But I just wanted to give thanks again to Charles and the staff. It's been wonderful. And another huge thank you to all of you for coming. It's precious that you spend your time with us today, and we want to just share information based in chemistry, biology, and science, not just sales jargon. My presentation today actually is just going to be the warm-up event. Usually I talk for a couple days at a time and people get really saturated. But mine will be, you'll see me go a little quick. I'm just going to go through the major product categories and just to maybe top 3 or 4 items from each category and lightly touch on each. There might be a few where I talk a little bit more, but I'm going to go a little quick because of time. And I'll ask you to write your questions down and save them for after we're finished. And I'll be more than honored. We'll go around the product tables if you have a specific question, and I'll try to give you every bit of information that you require. And then the way it's going to work, so I'm going to talk about some of the major products, and then we're going to have a little bit of a quiz for fun, and there's some prizes involved from what I understand. And then we're going to have lunch. Then after the lunch break, Luis will do the main event, which is really super cool, the layout, the aquascaping. So that's how it will go today. And Luis is he's gonna duck out and continue his preparations, and then we'll go from there.
See you guys in a minute.
Okay, I think everybody's familiar with Seachem, right? You've heard of us? Yeah. Probably seen me in the shop over the years, maybe not. Or you might have seen me in India or in Philippines when I travel throughout there, or wherever your home base may be. Seachem, we're a family-owned company. We've been in business. We'll be soon celebrating our 45th anniversary at Seachem. We're lifelong hobbyists, and Dr. Morin founded our company in 1980, it says, but it's actually a little bit before that, I believe, even. Dr. Morin wanted to create products that functioned correctly for the hobby. Not just using byproducts or additives from other industries that were shortcuts, but thoroughly develop and research. So at Seachem, we have a full staff of degreed biologists and chemists. This is just our facility is about 11,000 square meters in USA, in the state of Georgia. We do all the research, production, and manufacture of our chemistry products. So we have strong quality control. All the employees at Seachem, we have aquariums in our offices, workspaces, or cubicles, in our homes, of course. So to us, it's not just going around selling something, it's sharing the love of the hobby and the correct information. Education, science, chemistry, biology. And we love it, just like you. It's in our blood, and it's fun. We love this. So, and I repeat things a lot too. So, production. These are just a few slides quickly on Seachem. We have, what you see here, some of the filling equipment, and we've actually introduced about $2 million more advanced and more production lines at Seachem in the last year. During COVID, we got really busy and built a lot more of the production. We have a huge energy efficient warehouse. We have motion controlled lights, so if there's no one working in a particular aisle, it's dark, but as soon as you enter, it comes on. And on the roof of our facility, we installed several years ago full solar capability. So we're a very green company as well, trying to do our part anyway. Yeah. And then around, just some pictures of the office. Whoops, I went a little too fast. And then of course the laboratory. Folks are always working, always researching, always doing experiments, and I'll go in sometimes and they'll shoo me out. Aquariums everywhere. You come to the Seachem office in our facility, these are all employee aquariums at Seachem. Just random photos taken from those aquariums. These aren't professional photos from somewhere else. These are in our offices. Switch. So again, just some of these aquariums are from our human resources clerks and even non-hobby oriented people that come to work at Seachem. They learn how to run an aquarium. We want everybody to know the passion and what feeds our life and our hobbies. That's Mr. Jim Rogers. He's our vice president, and that's his reef aquarium in his office. This is Mr. Doug Hill. He's our CEO and president, the beating heart of Seachem, you could say, and he is very, very much into the planted scene, and this is his aquarium in his office. On the very first screen, you saw the picture of the man. I think I explained that was Dr. Leo Morin, our founder. And then here is an aerial shot. This is an older picture. That whole area around the building is now filled up with production facility and the open areas as well. But that's the Seachem building if you're flying over. That was when it was first built in 2005. We kept on outgrowing our older facilities. So. Is there a way to deal with this feedback? Huh? Okay. So anyway, that's a little brief introduction. Now we'll move into talking about some product. I have to switch the screens. Okay, the first category we'll talk about is our water conditioners, and you most likely are very, very familiar with Prime, Stability, Clarity. Those are the bread and butter items of Seachem. And so remember, and just keep in mind again, this presentation was cut down from a much larger presentation, so I'm gonna go a little fast. Okay, water conditioners. There's a lot of them on the market. And most companies won't give you any real idea or education on how they actually work chemically. Now don't worry, this whole presentation is not going to have a lot of chemistry screens on the presentation, but this is kind of fascinating to show how does this water conditioner work that we sell so much of to our customers. Most municipalities in the world have chlorines and chloramines in the water. Keeps it disinfected and safe for human consumption. And here there's lots of desalination water, I understand. So it may or may not have chlorine or chloramine, or intermittent times they put it in as the water goes through the water mains and the water lines. There could be intrusions or breaches. So most places in the world you do see chlorine and chloramines. Safe for people, harmful for fish, as we know. So this is just chlorine exists in water as dissolved chlorine gas. And again, it's used to kill bacteria. It's very unstable, and chlorine will evaporate after about 24 hours if you put it in a bucket. But most hobbyists or people in their houses, they don't have a space to put buckets everywhere and let the water age. And then chloramine is more stable and is used by most water treatment around the world. Chloramines will not evaporate out, but then it's extremely toxic for fish. So, removing chloramine and chlorine, I just got ahead of myself. So the process is called reduction, how we remove chlorine and chloramine from a water. And this is how our main product, Prime water conditioner, will function. Prime. Excuse me. Prime removes chlorine, chloramine, detoxifies nitrates, detoxifies ammonia that's created when you reduce a chloramine, and I'll explain that in a moment. It stimulates slime coat production on the fish. There's no slime in the bottle, and this is a huge difference about Prime. Physiologically and biologically, the only mucus layer or slime coat on a fish that functions for mitigation of stress and disease resistance is the mucus layer that a fish produces naturally. You can't really put a little substance of something in and hope to effectively coat a fish. So again, the mucus layer that the fish produces naturally is very effective. So Prime will stimulate slime coat production on a fish. Very, very concentrated, so therefore very economical. Prime is good for freshwater, saltwater, plant tank, reef tank. And you see the cap on the bottle is a 5 ml cap. Each little thread inside the cap is 1 ml. 5 mLs of Prime will treat 200 liters of aquarium water. So very, very economical. It's the least expensive product to use on the market to operate an aquarium. So this is Prime. I think everybody's familiar with it pretty much. Use it. It's probably on your order, it's the most sold item. Let's talk a little bit. You heard me talk about reduction, chlorine and chloramine reduction. Chlorines are right here on the left. This is chlorine. It's two chlorides bound together. The way Prime works, when you dose Prime chemically, Prime will sever that bond of those two chlorides that are bound. And then the chlorides precipitate out harmlessly. That's pretty easy. And also the way we reduce, this is chloramine. Chloramine is a little more complex. It's actually 3 chlorides that are bound to a central nitrogen. So Prime will cut the 3 chlorides from that nitrogen and detoxify or reduce chloramine. And when that happens though, so first reduces chlorine is reduced to 2 chlorides that are harmless. And then Prime will reduce the chloramine. And then you'll see that Prime will sever the bond. The chlorides precipitate out. Now, what we have in the middle is a positively charged nitrogen. So what happens? What ions are abundant in H2O, in water? Hydrogen. So you have an abundance of hydrogen ions that are negative, that all of a sudden they're attracted to this, right here, this positively charged nitrogen. And what happens when you reduce a chloramine, 3 of those instantly will bond to the nitrogen. You have NH3, ammonia. So what this represents is we're not just saying you need an agent to detoxify ammonia just for marketing. It's just when you have a very effective water conditioner that detoxifies chloramine, it's critical that within the same formula of that product, you can also detoxify the ammonia that's created. So Prime will detoxify this ammonia. Don't worry, it's not going to be all these heavy chemistry slides later, I promise. So that's Prime. The next top seller in the range is Stability. And again, we're going a little quick today, I apologize. But again, remember, after we're finished, after the workshop, if you have any continuing questions, I'll be honored to spend all my time to help you. I love it. So, Stability. There's many biological water conditioners on the market. Many. And most of them are operating on very old technology where we were knowledge-wise 45, 50 years ago. What you'll find is some variety of Nitrosomonas, Nitrobacter, Nitrospira bacteria. And the types of bacteria back then and what are offered on the market predominantly in our industry, our hobby, they're not aquatic specific strains of bacteria. You can find them here on the table, on your shoe, outside in the earth and the soil. So they're not aquatic specific, but we found that they did some good of getting your tank cycled, getting your natural nitrogen cycle moving and doing well. So I'm not saying these products are bad by any means, but we've learned through research how to be exponentially much more efficient, much better, more resilient and strong by researching. We took 10 years to research strains of bacteria that were aquatic specific, and we released Stability in 2003. Because all the commonly occurring problems in the hobby may be overfeeding or underfiltration, maybe lack of proper filter medias or biomedias. All types of factors would cause situations that would cause the older technology type of bacteria to overload and die, cloud up the aquarium. So in times of trouble, we wanted strong and resilient bacteria that was aquatic specific, not to die, but step forward and handle the problem. And that's what Stability is for. Cycling a new aquarium, establishing a new aquarium, or using an aquarium where you're adding more bioload, fish, plants, or corals, or an aquarium where you had to use antibiotics of some sort that suppressed your bacteria. So there's many uses for Stability over the course of the life of your aquarium or your customer's aquarium. You want to change? Okay. Technical break. Is it this one? Okay. Is everybody's ears burned out already? Sorry. Okay. Okay. I'm just a fish guy. I'm not technology oriented. Okay. No? Maybe let's move it. Move it up a little bit. Okay. We'll try that. So, stability, again, is several different strains of aquatic-specific bacteria that's nitrifying and denitrifying. And it says 4-year shelf life, but after this year, it's been improved where we preserve the strains of bacteria in what's called stasis with a natural preservative. Stasis means there's no respiration or metabolism of the bacteria, but the bacteria is alive, but it's not doing any function. So this natural stasis, we have a 6-year shelf life now on stability. No refrigeration is required because of this proprietary way we stabilize or preserve it. And even after you open the bottle and close the bottle, there's no refrigeration required. Why? In the bottle, the concentration of the natural preservative holds that stasis of the bacteria. But dose by dose, as you enter a dose into the volume of your aquarium, that natural preservative breaks away and all the strains of bacteria and stability are revived within 3 seconds to 3 hours, fully functioning. So this is stability. This bacteria is good for freshwater, saltwater, plant tank, reef tank. So a very diverse array of aquaria you can use, all of them. This is stability. And I think you're probably already aware of it, but if you're not and you haven't tried it, please do. And I'm very humbly confident you'll really see the good results. So that's stability. Pristine was released, I think, 5 years ago. This is our newest product in the bacteria range. This is the second stage of biological management, the sludge or waste removal. Accumulations of waste, the black sludge in the gravel or in corners. This tends to build up over time in an established aquarium. And a lot of products on the market are simply relabeled cycling bacterias with an extra dose on it that if you dose, you might get a little effect, but it's not the specific strategy of those types of bacteria strains. The strains of bacteria in Pristine are specific. They're totally different than the strains we employ in Stability. So these strains work on a process called remediation. They form a biopolymer that will actually encompass wastes and sludge and remove them completely out, consume them out of the aquarium. So this is the second stage of biological management. It helps maintain and keep a clean environment, cutting down on waste buildups. So this will reduce your excess ammonia, nitrate potentials. Now, we're very loud and clear to everybody, and we should be in the shop level as well. You still need to do your water change. You still have to feed responsibly, have all the correct parameters and husbandry of fish keeping, and still safe and clean your aquarium. But this on top of it will really, really put a great polish, a beauty back to the aquarium. So this is Pristine, and this also, the shelf life is 6 years and no refrigeration required. Good for freshwater, saltwater, plant tank, and reef tank. And again, my apologies for going quickly. You're probably like, no, keep going, keep going. But clouding, we all have this, no matter beginner, novice, expert, and what stage we are in our hobby, at the shop, at home, we all encounter this one time or another. And clouding is caused by many different things. The thing with cloudiness, though, it looks cloudy. So if it's caused by bacterial or biological, chemical, or particulate, clouding generally looks the same, cloudy. So it's ambiguous sometimes what's causing the cloudiness. Now, we always are actively counseling our customers. What's causing the cloudiness? We want to remedy the source. Did we just clean the aquarium and stir things up? And then it's probably particulate clouding. But maybe we had some bad effect to our biological or bacteria colony, and it might be a bacterial bloom. Or it could be some type of chemical clouding, excess of some type of an element. So clouding, we want to find out what's causing it, but in the meantime, while we're working to find out the source of the clouding, we want a nice, beautiful aquarium. We want to clarify it. We want to make it look nice. So I probably got ahead of myself, but I usually do. Clarity, the advantages of clarity is this one here, it's not just sold. On the market, there's some that are available for biological clouding, a type for particulate clouding, freshwater version, saltwater version. It gets very, very confusing for us as a staff in a shop and a customer who many times is not sure what's causing the clouding to get the right product in the hand of the customer. Well, clarity, we solve that. It's a different type of product, but it works on the same function. It's different in the fact that it will clear any type of clouding, no matter what causes it, bacterial, biological, particulate, or chemical. But it works on the same function that it's a flocculant, meaning it takes small bits, clumps them together to larger bits. So with any type of clarifier, you must use mechanical filtration. So make sure you got a good filter with filter floss or a filter pad, and that will filter out the cloudiness. Now, once you dose clarity initially, your tank will get even more cloudy because it's going to work. It's taking those bits and clumping them together. So in a few hours or by the next morning, depending on how severe it was, you're going to have crystal clear water. In cases of biological bloom, say the clouding is caused by bacteria, clarity will relocate that bacteria to the surface of your biomedia. So make sure you have a good biomedia matrix, hopefully. And that will facilitate the seeding of the media. So clarity is good for freshwater, saltwater, plant tank, reef tank. And all Seachem products we talk about, quite concentrated, very, very economical. Always, always look on the label or show your customers on the back of the label. Seachem products will very clearly say how many liters or gallons the product will treat. And when you calculate the savings, the cost per liter of using Seachem, we're the lowest cost on the market. So look at the concentration when you're thinking about it. So clarity, I think we did have a Hollywood movie attached to this presentation at one time. Yeah, on the right you'll see tiny little bits, it might be hard to see, tiny little bits. When you put clarity in, it gets cloudy when you're dosing clarity in, and it's going to start grabbing all those tiny bits. The process of flocculation. So all those, then we focus in more and those tiny bits start grabbing each other. And now we have bigger bits, they're bigger clumps, and then your mechanical filtration, your filter floss, or your filter pads can filter that out. So that's our high action Hollywood movie. Yay. Woo. All right. So next, maybe I'm out of range. There we go. We're putting clarity in the water. You just saw that we dosed clarity on the left. And you see this is a time lapse. I think the time lapse was over 6 hours. That's just a simple hang on the back tidal filter that we have, the tidal filter. So you notice we dosed clarity in that water, and you see how it functions. Now when you shut off your filter later and pull out the filter pad, make sure you turn off the flow, take that filter pad and carefully clean it out because you'll see all the debris that was collected. Okay, water testing. Now, sometimes, for me, water testing is the least fun part of keeping the hobby, but you gotta do it. Because if you're not testing, you're guessing. And when we have a responsibility to a living creature, a fish, plant, or coral, we want to make sure from time to time that we know where our parameters are. And we have a full range of test kits, which we don't have time to talk about today, but I will talk about our Alert series of products. This is older packaging here, but they now come in a little plastic bag that hangs as well. We have a pH alert and ammonia alert, and then we have a combo. We'll start with the pH alert. The pH alert is for freshwater only, lasts 3 to 6 months, and that's based on the organic content in or mineral salts content that you may have in your aquarium. But pH alert, that little dot in the center, will change color that will correspond to other colors around the wheel that have a pH value set. So you can, at a glance, monitor, see where your pH is. Or if the next morning you see it's got, all of a sudden you had a big shift in pH, then you know maybe it's time to go to work on your aquarium. So that's freshwater only. And then ammonia alert, this functions for over a year, and this is good for freshwater or saltwater. It works on the same principle. There's a membrane sensor in the middle. That little disc will change color. If you start having an ammonia problem starting to emanate, starting to begin, you'll start seeing a shift in the color that will correspond to safe, alert, alarm, and now you got a problem. So the normal scenario in the shop is the customer will come in, oh, I think you have ammonia. I lost a fish, one of them are dead and the other are gasping. And generally that's kind of too late when you get to that moment. We want to prevent that stress and death to the fish. So this will let your customer know, ooh, at the very beginning stages, you're starting to have ammonia. So, ooh, okay, do we have a fish that died and is under the rock? Did we overfeed by mistake? Did we lose power? Are we not filtering well? Did we not change water? It gets them to the shop and we start asking questions and help them become better. So this will avoid the normal scenario of fish suffering and possibly dying. It starts interaction. So alert, ammonia alert. Very, very effective. And the ammonia alert will detect free ammonia. Where most kits, all kits on the market are generally a total ammonia kit. Well, what the critical difference is, the free ammonia, there's two types of ammonia, total and free. Free ammonia does 99% of the killing of fish in the hobby. Total ammonia over time will build up the toxic levels that can kill your fish. But 99% of the time, the free ammonia has already killed your fish. So we need to concern ourselves with free ammonia. And that's exactly what this will detect. That membranic sensor will detect free ammonia. So big difference. And then the alert combo is simply the pH alert and the ammonia alert put together. But that would probably be more for a marine customer because the pH alert, or unless you have a customer that has a freshwater aquarium at home and also marine or a combo, because again, the pH alert's freshwater only. The ammonia alert will do freshwater and saltwater. Okay, I won't go over these one by one due to lack of time today, but we have a full range of test kits. They're one step up from the very beginning basic type test kits you find on the market. These have a very high degree of accuracy. We want to have much more accurate. So people looking for more of a specific value, you get over 75 tests for each, so they're a high economic value. So we have a full range of test kits, and if you have any questions at the end of the seminar, you can come to Luis and I will help you. But they're very easy to read instructions, pictograms, and text. And then if there's any reef, is there any saltwater reef people here today? Okay, we'll try not to let you get forgotten about. We have a full set of some reef as well that are highly, highly accurate. Calcium is accurate within 5 milligram per liter. So very, very sensitive and accurate kits. Okay, we're going fast. That was just a brief touch. We have many more products in the range on water conditioners and so forth. But that was water conditioners and testing, just a little primer, just a little overview. And again, the main event today will be Luis and his aquascaping. So we're going to move to the next category. So just one small technical break. There we go. Now again, this presentation here on our planted products is a very much, pardon the pun, trimmed down version of that presentation. Very much so. Even as we're going through it, it might be more than a few slides, but since planted is going to be the focus for today, I might spend a little more time on this category. And then after this category, we have filtration products. Then I have some freshwater, cichlid, and discus products to show you real quick. And we do have a very, very brief, just a few products on the saltwater reef. And then for our two beloved reefers here, we might save a lot of that to interaction afterwards so we don't bore everybody else. But we love reef too. We're very diverse at Seachem on many of these products that we produce. So, chemistry of the planted aquarium. I don't want to be dramatic or over the top when I'll let you know that Seachem was one of the first, if not first, companies in the world, hobby, many, many years ago, to research and produce products specifically for foliar feeding aquatic plants. Aquatic plants that uptake nutrients through stem, leaf, and root. And what you'll find an abundance of products in the industry today offered to shops and hobbyists that are the same as 40, 50 years ago, employing products that are byproducts of the garden plant industry. Nutrients and fertilizers that were formulated for plants that uptake their nutrients through the roots from the soil. Well, that do a little good in a plant aquarium, but many times the type of irons and other elements aren't correct for, again, an aquatic plant, a foliar feeder. So we extensively researched the biology again, and with a lot of peer-reviewed study in the industry, let's formulate supplements and products for the plants that they can uptake most efficiently in nature, their natural strategy. So the Flourish range is a representation, or is our result. So in a plant aquarium, and a lot of you may know this already, this is your strategy, or now again, remember, there's many, many correct ways to have success and joy in the hobby. So we never will stand up here and tell you our way is the only way. Our way is one of the good ways to do it, one of the great ways to do it, but there's many great ways. But ours is very, very effective. Okay, building the planted aquarium, you want to think about substrates. A soil or a mineral substrate or a gravel that has nutrient benefits for root uptake. Good lighting. Then products for pH and hardness. And then supplements, vitamins, amino acids, trace elements. Very, very important. So those are the factors of a good planted aquarium. So we'll start with substrates. We have a couple of bags of our substrates back on the table you can see later. The fluorite range. So I got ahead of myself there. Substrates. Huh. Is this infrared? It must be, you gotta. There we go. It's got a mind of its own. We have fluorites, our fluorite range. Fluorite, fluorite red, fluorite black, fluorite sand. These substrates that we produce are 100% naturally, they're 100% natural in color and composition. We do nothing except mine them from the earth and filter them to varying sizes, grain size. And they're abundant source of calcium and magnesiums, and you can see the iron ratios here, or the iron readings. Potassium, manganese, so they're a huge source of mineral nutrient. These substrates, here's something key to remember, is the fluorite substrates will last the life of the aquarium. Why? As long as you can see that in your aquarium, you have mineral nutrient that the plant roots can attach to. So the nutrients are only extracted when the plant root will attach to the fluorite and uptake directly into the plant. There's no effect to the GH or the pH of your water column either, so that's a nice feature. So the highlighted in green, that gives you the values, the nutrient values. And the way we did this, these values represent what's truly available to plant to uptake on a leaching method. A lot of products on the market may claim certain levels of nutrients that are caused by a fusion method or a fission method, where they actually explode or emulsify the product in its particulate. So it's not necessarily usable by the plant. So when we give values, this is just to keep in mind, that's what's truly available that the plant can access and utilize. Again, fluorite's good for the life of the aquarium. So there's lots of soils on the market. Lots of soils. Soils are wonderful because they contain also organic nutrients that really push a very fast growth of plants, and it reduces the need somewhat of doing supplementation. But the soils lose their nutrients over time, some in a few months, some in under a year. And I would venture to say a huge percentage of your customers, well actually a huge percentage of your customers coming to the shop, they see the beautiful displays in your shop, but they don't want to change that soil out in a few months or in a year's time. That's not their strategy. They want a beautiful tank. Fluorite lasts for the life of the aquarium. Soils are great for your aquascaper customers, so know your customer. The aquascapers love to put the soils in, enter a contest, take some photos, and if it's losing its nutrients in a month or two, it doesn't matter because they're bored with it. They're already taking it down and doing another aquascape. So know your customer. Soils are brilliant for a certain type of customer. Fluorites are brilliant for many customers, even a majority of them. We have renowned aquascapers around the world that use fluorites in addition with soils, or a combination thereof. So you're not limited to one or the other. We have fluorite black, fluorite dark, or fluorite dark, fluorite black. And then you'll find that these have a little bit different mineral values. It looks a little lower, but these values in themselves are very, very huge. That just illustrates on the standard fluorites just the amazing amount of nutrient capacity, mineral nutrient capacity they have. And then we have onyx sand, which is wonderful. And onyx sand is a calcite based. So this one has a very weak buffer of 7.2 to 7.4. Easily overcome by the natural organic acids produced in any plant aquarium. And that also allows, there's a beautiful feature to keep in mind for onyx sand. It may be, if you don't like the gray color and you like the other beautiful natural colors of the other fluorites, use the onyx sand as your bottommost layer. And it's heavier and denser than the other fluorites, so it always finds its way to the bottom and stays there. And being a calcite-based substrate, it interacts with any organic acid buildups in your bottom layer. So it prevents the acidification of the root zone or root rot. It's beautiful for that. So it promotes really vigorous and healthy root areas. Wonderful. And in that process, by interacting with organic acids, it's a secondary source of CO2. Not enough to employ in an aquarium by itself, but an additional benefit. This is actually the ideal, purest substrate for a plant aquarium. And again, you can use it, mix it with other fluorites. It's heavier and denser, and it will make its way and stay in the bottom, even after getting mixed up during cleaning or so forth. Okay, I've got a couple slides here I'm going to move through due to time. I touched on this leaching test and fusing test. If we were to use, when I said some companies will they'll show percentages and values of nutrients, they'll use a fusion test because it makes the numbers look larger. But those aren't usable numbers, that's just particulates. We use a leaching test, which actually represents how a plant can attach and uptake the nutrients, how it's available. And you can see by using the correct form, it shows entirely different values, but we're not going to use the incorrect, unnecessary, not needed test just to make our values look higher. We're going to show you, or the hobbyist, how it's truly represented and how you can use it. So that's just probably geek stuff right there, but we love what we do and it's important. You're going to see Luis, when he does his scape today, he's going to be using our Aquascaping soil from Aquavitro. And Aquavitro is the premium specialist range of Seachem company. It's a black humate soil, derived 100% natural forest floor humate. Wide range of nutrients. It will soften water, lowers pH, and it's ideal for freshwater shrimp. They come in tiny little beads that hold their shape very, very well, even upwards of a year or more. It holds those little spherical beads. It doesn't get mushy or soft. And then Aquascaping doesn't lose its nutrients, even on a heavily planted environment, for much longer than most soils on the market. So this is our humus, our black humate soil, Aquascaping. Good for freshwater planted aquariums and freshwater shrimp. 100% natural. Moving along. Maybe I'm getting too far away from this thing. pH and hardness. This is something very, very important in the planted aquarium. Something that's really fun to know about Seachem, we have an acid and alkaline buffer. The acid and alkaline buffer contain no phosphates. I think nearly all pH buffers on the market are phosphate-based, containing phosphates. Why? Phosphates are the most durable element to resisting a change or shift in pH, so they work brilliant at buffering a pH. So freshwater community aquariums or aquariums where algae is not of concern, most of the mainstream buffers, that's fine. But when we're dealing with a planted aquarium, we're bathing it with light and abundant nutrients for our plants. We do not want to put any extra phosphates into the water. So, alkaline and acid buffer, no phosphates. Very, very important to know. It makes a huge difference. So, the acid buffer will convert your alkalinity into CO2, and that way it will help lower your pH. And then we have alkaline buffer, which KH will increase your KH. Now, most hobbyists in the planted hobby want to buffer their pH in the acidic range, but we highly, highly recommend it, and these products are formulated to be used together regardless if you want to go up or down. Why? In a planted aquarium, they're an abundant source of natural organic acids, and most of them have absolutely no resistance or little resistance to a downward movement in pH. So it's very, very easy in a planted aquarium to crash your pH when you just want to make little shift downward. So we recommend using these together, and alkaline buffer will act as a parachute and it'll slow and manage that drop. So on the back of these jars is a very easy to read chart showing if you use 1 capful to 2 capfuls, you're going to get 6.8. Or 1 capful of one to 2 capfuls the other in reverse, you have 7.2. So you can adjust specific levels in the alkaline range or the acidic range very carefully, deliberately, and not to crash your pH. Very, very effective, very easy to use, and non-phosphate. Now, phosphate's not an enemy. Phosphate's critically needed. Phosphorus is critically needed in a planted aquarium, but at really low levels. So, okay, this is a slide you'll see on the chart. So 1 dose of acid buffer and 1 dose to alkaline buffer, you're going to get 6. Or let's go to the bottom. 4 capfuls of alkaline buffer to 1 capful of acid buffer, your pH of 8. then again, that's the dosing on the jars is very simple. It'll show you how many liters. Okay, and the Aquavitro range. Aquavitro range is also Seachem company as well. We have a product called Carbonates, and that will allow you to raise your carbonate hardness, but it's a potassium-based carbonate. Potassium is very under present in most planted aquariums. So instead of using a sodium bicarbonate, we'll use potassium carbonate. So very, very effective, very easy to use. A lot of people like to dose carbonates to also have interaction to benefit or boost CO2. We have equilibrium. Equilibrium will help you restore and maintain your GH, the measure of your calcium and magnesium. Very, very critically, most people in the plant hobby are using reverse osmosis DI water because that's filtering out heavy metals and phosphates and silicates and all sorts of things, and it gives us a good starting point. But you have to reestablish your GH. Reestablishing your GH then sets the foundation to make all other types of supplementation effective and functional in your plant aquarium. Very, very big difference on equilibrium compared to other products that are available on the market. There's no sodiums and no chloride. Huge difference. Sodium chloride cause tissue necrosis or plant melt in the planted aquarium. So seemingly little details actually make a huge difference. So no sodium, no chloride. And this again, this is a powder product. Next screen, if we can get there. Mineralize is the Aquavitro version, and this is again designed to create reestablish your GH, and this one is in a liquid form. Some people love the powders, but over the years we've had a huge response for a liquid version, and we've produced a liquid version. Very, very effective, and you'll find that under the Mineralize, under the Aquavitro range. And again, this is a very, very quick cut down presentation, but supplements. Supplements for plant growth and development, meeting the biological needs of our plants. Let's see if I can get this to... There we go. Premier is a water conditioner, and it's the first, if not one of the first, if not the first water conditioner specifically for a planted aquarium. This one is similar to Prime, but again, there's a huge difference in formulation. Similar that it's a water conditioner. It will remove chlorines and chloramines, but unlike all of the water conditioners on the market that are sodium thiosulfate based, this is potassium thiosulfate based. Potassium is abundantly uptaken by plants and again, underrepresented in most aquariums in the hobby today. So it does not contain sodium. Sodium can stack up over time and cause a problem with your tissue. So sodium free. Also, what's key difference on Premier to Prime or many water conditioners, this will not reduce or remove ammonia. Ammonia is a source of nitrogen that's abundantly uptaken by a specific plant aquarium. So for a specific planted aquarium, Premier is ideal for that use. Okay, the main comprehensive, these would be your base products. Usually if you've got somebody starting out, we got them set up with the correct light, the correct gravel. They're going to say, okay, what do I need for the water? Aside from our pH and our hardness products, you need Flourish. Flourish is your comprehensive supplements, vitamins, amino acids, trace elements, everything needed for plant growth and development. So this is the big one. This is very, very important. Flourish tabs are the dried version that will target the root zone. Each tab will cover about 10 square centimeter and will last 2 to 4 months. The difference, respectfully, most products on the market will last 4 to 6 weeks. So you get 2 to 4 months out of a Flourish tab. Flourish tabs are great for very root uptake heavy type plants such as Anubias, Cryptocorinus, swordtails, or it might be an aquarium that's not a plant tank. They don't want plastic plants and they only want just a few live plants, but they don't want to invest in all types of supplements. And they don't have a planted gravel. So flourish tabs will be great that way. You can target the root zones of the plants. So many, many uses for those. Now, vitamins, amino acids, trace elements, and iron that you find in these products, Flourish and Flourish tabs. The type of iron that we employ is a ferrous gluconate. It is an iron, a ferrous form of iron, Fe2+, oxidative state, that is what the plants use in the wild. Naturally, foliar feeder plants, aquatic plants, they uptake the iron in stem, leaf, and root. So we employ the ferrous form, Fe2+, and it's a big difference. Why? Most products on the market historically, and even today, will sell you a ferric iron, an Fe3+. What does that mean? That's chelated or EDTA, might be some of the, you'll see the buzzwords on ingredients. Those types of products, the ferric forms of products, are byproducts from the planted or garden industry. Very abundant, easily to get on the secondhand market, and relabel for the plants. It only does a little bit of good because what happens is the biology of the aquatic plant, if it uptakes iron, it cannot move it amongst its structure. And an aquatic plant, again, needs to uptake through stem, leaf, and root because of that. The ferric form of iron, a 3+ that most of the products have today on the market, can only be uptaken at the root zone. And that's not good because what about the stem and the leaf? So to backtrack, we use a ferrous form, 2+. We complex it with a gluconate, so it's a ferrous gluconate. What's a gluconate is an easily metabolized source of energy, a carbohydrate that the plant cell can use for energy. And it makes it very, very easy for the plant to take. The plant has to use almost no energy. It's very efficient. So when a plant needs that uptake for that iron, it's very, very easy. Other forms of iron are ferric, or they're chelated or EDTA. That bond is very, very strong. It takes a lot of energy for that plant to break that bond and uptake that iron, and then they only can take it in the root. So again, what might be seemingly small details make huge difference in the biology of the plant, of the aquatic plant. So that form of iron is awesome. Your plant has to use less energy, can transfer that energy to growth, and it can have the energy in the stem, leaf, and root. I'm repeating myself, but it makes a big difference. And you can see abundant, verdant, really big difference growth. It does make a difference. So remember that Flourish iron is, it's a ferrous gluconate iron, and it's the biologically correct form of iron for the aquatic plant. You want to remember that. Hint, hint. Envy is the comprehensive source of nutrients that we offer in the Aquavitro range. This one's a little different. Whereas the Flourish products contain iron, Envy does not. But Envy is derived from, nutrients from Envy are derived 100% from chlorella algae. Everyone's probably quite familiar with spirulina algae. But chlorella algae offers 5 times more nutrient capacity per equal gram weight. So, and it's natural. Very, very easily uptaken nutrients for your aquatic plant. Vitamins, amino acids, polyunsaturated fatty acids, these type of compounds or elements or nutrients are beautiful for your aquatic plant. And chlorella is being 100% natural. It's a superfood. It's really amazing growth that you see from this. So it's the next step or next progression of knowledge where we're at in the biology of the planet aquarium. Make your plants green with envy, it says. Haha. Okay. Hey, where's everybody's laughing? It was a joke. I have bad humor. My wife and 3 daughters remind me of that all the time. Dad, that's not funny. Shut up. Stop. And I'm, what? It was funny. No, Dad, stop. But that's all right. So, envy. Flourish Excel, you may be familiar. If you can believe this here, Seachem was the pioneer of a liquid carbon source years ago before any other product on the market. You can research it, verified it. We researched and developed and pioneered liquid carbon. Why? Well, this is an organic carbon source. Years ago, when we introduced this to the market after years of research, in the hobby level, beginners or experts alike, at the shop level, someone comes in the shop and sees the beautiful setups you have. Wow, I want that in my house. Okay, I'll buy the tank. Help me get set up on the plants and the gravel and the lights. And then you say, here's your CO2 injector. And you see the color go out of their face when you tell them how much it is. Many people, USA, around the world, anywhere, most times don't have money for a CO2 injector when they want to get it started. They're expensive. If they have the money for the CO2 injector, it's almost guaranteed they don't yet. If they're a beginner, they don't have the knowledge how to monitor and regulate a CO2 injector. And that can be dangerous in their hands when they go home, and they might have a bad experience and get out of the hobby before they can get started. So experience of using one or the cost of one initially, it shut the door on most people wanting to enter the plant hobby. So we researched Excel, and again, it's an organic source of carbon, won't affect your pH, it mimics natural photosynthetic intermediates that the plant can identify with. So what that means is the plant can uptake this with almost no energy, very easily, source of carbon. So what does this mean? It opens that door back up and allows that majority of customers, when they're getting started, to become plant hobbyists. They can have a wonderfully abundant, flourishing, beautiful aquarium just using Flourish Excel alone in a low energy environment. So that is what Flourish Excel is for. Now, when they get a little more experience or save their money and they want to add a CO2 injector, they can use CO2 injector in conjunction with Flourish Excel and get an augmentative benefit. So this is Flourish Excel. This is our most popular product in our entire planted range. And there's many years of extensive research on the maximum percentage of the active ingredient that allows for maximum benefit and no detriment. And that's something key to remember. A lot of products were released over the time, some imitators on the market claiming to have higher percentages of the active ingredient. And that's not necessarily good. A higher percentage, you start having tissue melt in plants and other products, rough effect of shrimp and so forth. So again, ironically, most products, concentration in the active ingredient is key. The higher the better, but it's actually reverse on a type of product like Flourish Excel. So very good and extensive research, very safe and stable the way it's stabilized. Flourish Excel. I probably talked too much on that, but that's one of our rock stars. You might have heard me mention potassium. Potassium is abundantly needed for a wide, extensive list of biological processes in a plant. Probably one of the most important will be the functioning or the regulation of the stomates, the pores on the plants that excrete gas. So potassium is just uptaken abundantly, needed, and it's never enough. Most aquariums, beginner, novice, or expert, never seem to have enough potassium, and it shouldn't be that way because it's super easy to dose. The cap is the doser, and most beginning doses on this is 1 capful for 80 liters, 2-3 times a week as a starting point. So you don't have to be a little scientist or an Einstein to learn how to use this, but we also have lots of information on expert dosing. We can use this in dosing, automatic dosers, dosing formulas. So no phosphate, so it's phosphate free. And there we go. Flourish Iron. Now remember, our Flourish comprehensive supplement that we talked about has iron in it. Well, if you have, iron is generally consumed and removed from the water column much quicker than the other organic nutrients that you find in Flourish, such as vitamins, amino acids. So in a case of a heavily populated planted aquarium, or plants with, again, a lot of heavy species of uptake of iron, your iron's going out quicker. So people will say, whoa, can we just give an extra dose of Flourish? Nope, you don't want to, because of the organics. Flourish iron will allow you to balance that. So one day you can dose Flourish, which is your vitamins, amino acids, nutrients, and iron. And then the iron goes out quicker. The alternating day, then you can dose Flourish iron. So you can keep up with your iron consumption and not overdose the other element or nutrients. So you can use these on alternating days. So that's iron. And if you're using Envy from Aquavitro, it doesn't contain an iron, you can use this. Propel is the Aquavitro form of iron. This contains the same form of iron that you find in Flourish and Flourish Iron, but it also has a time-released version of that. Why? Well, we learned with Flourish Iron, it's so easily available for the plant to uptake with minimal energy that some species of the plants, because most plant tanks are a mixture of species, many of the species were uptaking it quicker in under an hour, and there wasn't much left for some of the other species. And you get a photosynthetic cycle, it's on average around 6 hours. So we have that form of iron that's taken out quickly, and then a time-measured released version, so all plants can now have an equal shot at uptaking the iron. It makes a big difference. And another beautiful form of iron in here, it will convert existing ferric forms. We talked about those forms of iron that were from the garden plant industry that are heavily bound. It will convert those to the ferrous form of iron that we use, that the plants can uptake stem, leaf, and root. So that's really good on an existing aquarium that might be loaded with bound iron, or substrates, or even the fluorite substrates with iron. It'll help even move some of that to a ferrous state, and very, very easy uptake. So really nice. This is Propel. It's more advanced and has several forms of iron. And Flourish Advance. Flourish Advance is 100% natural, organic, and it's growth enhancer. You want, for plants that you're just starting a new layout, or maybe you received a new shipment, or you had a plant that had a disease or a problem, and you just want to get the root zone established. So you'd use the Flourish Advance. It's natural phytohormones, not steroids, no mad science, naturally derived plant source, and so it helps increase the root zone and growth. So after about 2 or 3 weeks, then you'll start seeing the result of that root zone accelerate growth, push over to foliar, stem, and leaf. So wonderful product. You don't need to use it all the time, but in certain scenarios that I mentioned. So that's Flourish Advance. I think we were the first on the market to release a product like this, and I think there's a few products now also similar on the market. But Flourish Advance, and again, really good for when you're starting a new layout and you need to get a quick establishment of the roots. It's quite amazing. There's you'll see a lot of YouTube and social media. You'll see a lot of some time-lapse photography. And then we have plant packs. There's 2 different types of plant packs that make it real easy when you're selling a plant setup to a customer. Sometimes you hand them 3 or 4 bottles of something, they just get a little intimidated. But the plant pack fundamentals will have Flourish, Flourish Excel, and Flourish Iron, so it's a great beginner. And then maybe your customer gets more experience over time and is more into it. And then we have other products that we do not talk about today, which is nitrogen and phosphorus, which are very critical at low levels for your planted aquarium, that become depleted in a closed environment. So we have lots of options. You might want to write down, we have an email. It's called support@seachem.com, or your staff, your customers can also find that support tab at seachem.com on our homepage. That support@seachem.com email allows you to interact with our tech support staff. They're degree biologists who live for and are paid for nothing but helping you, your staff, and your customers. They're not salespeople. So they're there to help you understand the products if you have a question and not give you sales jargon. They'll help you with the chemistry, the biology, and the science behind it. And if you don't want to hear all that, they'll speak in beginner terms, novice terms, or if you want to go expert in real high chemistry, we can give you the information depending on how you desire it. So it's year-round support, and we're passionate about that. And you can contact us on that support email as well. It could be a strange parasite, a tissue problem on a plant, a chemistry issue in a plant or aquarium with one of your customers. It doesn't have to be on a Seachem product. We are very committed about the life and the benefit and the future of the hobby, given correct information, not sales talk, not sales jargon, not just trying, yeah. So again, remember that, support@seachem.com. And then we have a full range of hardware and accessories. We have Flourish Glue, cyanoacrylate. This is really great for putting on the roots and attaching to your wood or rock. So it's very thin and easy. And you can use that, put it on the roots and right down in the water and hold it down 5 seconds. Make sure you use gloves, some gloves, because you might stick your fingers together, but done it. We have a full range of glassware. We don't have them all displayed today, but we have a full range of glassware, pH checkers, diffusers, and so forth. Working our way through. I think I got out of range again. But yeah, we have a full range of glassware from Seachem, which you can find in the St. Vincent catalog. And that was the plant. And again, that was very, very quick. Like we just sprinted through it really fast. And there's a lot more, but we're going to interact a lot of these products later with Luis's demonstration. And he'll actually probably talk about some of them as he's going along and laying out. And we kind of work together. And then during his part, we'll have a little more interactive questions and answers as we go along. And please, again, remember, all of these products I'm talking about, I'll be more than happy and love to interact with you afterwards, after the seminar, and any specific questions. Luis and I will love to go over anything you want. So, okay, next category, we're going to talk about filtration medias. Okay, very, very important category. No matter if you have fresh water, salt water, plant tank, reef tank, filtration. And another fun thing to know at Seachem, we were the first company years ago to actually specifically research and develop medias for the filtration of water in the hobby. Why am I saying this? Years ago and today, most filtration products that you find, carbons and phosphate removers and the sort, they're all byproducts borrowed from the air filtration industry. Okay, well, years ago we found that those did some good. We got some kind of strange we're losing our projector over here. I'm like a little kid, I get distracted really easy. But anyway, we're down a screen. We developed filtration medias, again, specifically designed for the filtration of water, because a filtration media developed for the filtration of air may contain compounds or elements that when you run water through, that can leach into the aquarium that aren't beneficial or could be toxic to the inhabitants. And even more importantly, most of these filtration media is borrowed, these carbons and phosphate removers and the sort. The physical structure of the media is chipped or flaked and they pack. Water flows around them, hydrodynamics. So we want to look at hydrodynamics, flowing of water through a filter medium, not air. So all these things make a big difference in function, safety, and long-term value or impact or efficacy of the product. So with no further ado, And I think everyone's familiar, there's several types of filtration on the market. We have chemical, biological, bacterial. So mechanical, chemical, biological. So mechanical, you'd be like your filter sponge, filter floss, pre-filter sponge of some variety. Chemical would be your carbons, Purigen. Purigen removing organics, but carbon being great on your chemical removal. Our matrix biomedia, or any type of biomedia, would be types of your biological types. So there's several stages of filtration. Of course, we always want our mechanical, our pre-filter first, to filter out. So, we'll talk a little bit about mechanical filtration. Got to press more on the button here. Okay, there's lots. You want to remove particulates, solid wastes. So these here you're going to have to clean regularly when they become impacted. So mechanical is pretty straightforward. Everyone's familiar with filter pad, filter floss, etc. Keep clean, and that's the very first and most important stage of your filtration. Chemical filtration. Carbon. That's usually the most major one everyone thinks about. Carbon. We actually waited about 15 years into the life of our company before we produced a carbon, because all carbons on the market generally were bone, wood, or charcoal carbons that were very high in phosphates. They leach out phosphates, so they had a lot of detriments to them. So we didn't want to we didn't want to put another carbon on the market and just kind of have the same properties. So we researched and developed a carbon that was bituminous coal called matrix carbon that has the lowest leachable phosphate on the market. And I'll explain a little bit more in a moment. But carbons, they're a molecular sieve. They trap dissolved organics. And then ours is bituminous coal, but most are wood, bone, or coconut, which is generally they trend better in air filtration. So, and surface area is a very, very important factor when you're dealing with a carbon. Ours has the highest amount of macro-micro porosity as a carbon, meaning spaces that trap these organics or chemicals. So, hydrodynamics is very, very important. I talked about that earlier. A lot of carbons on the market are chipped or flaked. And what happens is they pack. They pack in your filter, and water flows around it. And you get about 70% on average of your carbon that doesn't get effective contact with your water. So the hydrodynamics, the structure is not ideal for water flow, but might be fine for airflow. A lot of carbons on the market being sold, they're pelleted. And they lay like logs on each other, and you get channeling of the water. And again, it's not the most efficient contact with the surface. So our matrix carbon, which I'll show in a moment, is spherical. Lots of little spheres, so water can flow down, through, and around. The sphere that we use is not just a marketing gimmick or sales jargon just to say we're different. It's hydrodynamically, it's the best form to run water through and get the most efficient contact with your media, such as the matrix carbon. So matrix carbon, again, spherical. It has the lowest ash content, so the lowest impact on pH. Now most carbons have some shift in pH. Lowest phosphate, leachable phosphate, because all carbons are derived from something living. And anything living has DNA molecules, and they're all phosphate based. So there's no such thing as a carbon that does not contain phosphate, but the name of the game would be to have the one with the least amount. And that's what you get with matrix, being a bituminous coal. And this one, very, very large surface area. So what does this mean? Now I understand that a lot of customers don't care about all of this when you're recommending a carbon to them in the shop. The easiest way to remember matrix carbon, how to sell it, is an equal size container of any carbon on the market compared to an equal size container of matrix carbon. Matrix carbon will treat twice the volume of water for twice the amount of time. So very, very impactful on value. So remember that when you're looking at the price. Twice the amount of time, twice the volume for an equal share of matrix carbon compared to anything on the market. And the lowest amount of leachable phosphate. It has that spherical shape for optimum water flow. We do have a range of phosphate absorbers, and our time is short, so I might go a little quick on these. On the market, you know, there's generally two types, alumina oxide and ferric oxide, GFO. Alumina oxide is good on a wide range of pH. It's highly insoluble. Between a pH of 5 and 10, you'll get no release of aluminum to the water, which 100% of aquariums on the market are between 5 and 10. And if you get lower than 5 or higher than 10, you got other problems to consider about. So then there's GFO, which is the ferric oxide, which has higher capacity, specifically even in a higher pH environment, such as a reef. Okay. One moment, please. Where's the cat? Someone's cat get in the control box? Bad joke. Okay. Okay, we'll look at the front screen for now, but so two types. We have several types of phosphate removers in the Seachem range. Historically, the most popular, and today the most popular and most economical will be your PhosGuard. PhosGuard is alumina oxide. It works both well in freshwater and saltwater. And then we have PhosBond. PhosBond in the middle there is an actual fusion, not just a mixture, but a fusion of alumina oxide and ferric oxide. So it even has a higher removal rate, but costs a little bit more. But not that, but in ratio there's a value. For the amount a little more costs, it removes a lot more phosphates and silicates. Again, we move phosphates and silicates because those compounds generally promote your algae growth. So, PhosNet is GFO, that's ferric oxide. Now all this information you see here will be on our internet, our website, seachem.com. But you'll see, and people say, well, which one do I want to use? Well, if you have freshwater and you want economics and a good product, PhosGuard. And then if you want to go up in more, if you want to go up in removal rates, then we have PhosNet. Very, very strong. So it has more binding capacity, but it costs a little bit more. And then from the Aquavitro range, we have PhosFiltrum. This has the highest binding capacity of any phosphate remover on the market today. So very, very, very durable. This is very clean and it's very hard and durable. So it's not releasing fines or dust into your aquarium. This would be the only one on the market that I can look you in the eye and say you can actually fluidize it, actually run it in a media chamber. So this one is generally going to be for your reef keeper. This one has very, very high capacity. Synthetic resins. And there we go. Purigen. This is the rock star of our filtration medias. This is our top seller, all of these filtration products. Purigen is a nitrogenous waste scavenging resin. You're like, oh great, that's a lot of words. What's that mean? And it has an affinity only to remove organic wastes. Excess fish waste, food waste, the proteins, the films that you see on the surface of the water. So Purigen, by helping you remove these excess organics, will help by prevention reduce any spikes in ammonia, nitrite, nitrate. And also by removing these excess organics in the water, it polishes the water crystal clear. Most people, that's what they're using it for, that crystal clear appearance, but it has great benefits, again, of preventing ammonia spike, nitrate spike in nitrate. Good for freshwater, saltwater. If you're having an aquarium where you have driftwood or certain types of tannins that get into the water, the tea color brown, this will remove that. Purigen will remove it. And you can regenerate it up to 8 times using a household bleach. Soak it in a household bleach for 24 hours, and then soak it for 24 hours in a dechlorinator like Prime, and you can use it about 8 times. Most people say, nah, I don't want to do that. They'll throw it away and buy new. That's fine, but if you have a lot of aquariums or for shop use, you can really economize by regenerating Purigen. But the big difference on Purigen to anything on the market that says it removes organics is this one has no impact on your mineral or trace elements. It's not ion exchange. Everything else on the market that says there's removal for organics also has ion exchange properties. And what happens is they become filled with organics very, very quickly, and they lose their ability to remove organics when they're ion exchange. So this has no impact on your supplements. So small molecule organics such as your reef supplements or plant supplements are not affected, and it will not take out your mineral trace. So it's just going to remove the bad organics and polish the water. So there's a reason this is the most popular product. It really, really clarifies the water. So remember Purigen. Purigen removes organics only. Remember, hint, hint. Okay. Pure Filtrum. We never thought that we could ever develop something for years and years that could be even more effective than Purigen, but we never stop in the laboratory, and we have the same type. It's a synthetic resin, does everything Purigen does, but this one even has about 10 to 15% more capacity even than Purigen. Again, Purigen's the rock star. That's going to take care of nearly every customer's needs. But if you happen to have a situation in the shop or your customer who has just a crazily heavily populated aquarium, or maybe they have bad habits and every little bit helps, this is the big gun. Purigen even, or Pure Filtrum even has more capacity, 10 to 15% removal rate of organics. And then if you ever had to use copper in your water, we have Coopersorb. This is a this will remove coppers that are bound in the water and any heavy metals. And it'll turn a bluish, dark bluish to blackish color when exhausted. Very, very easy to use, pretty much easily explained, straightforward. So if you're looking to specifically remove a copper from the water, Coopersorb. We do have a small 100 ml bag. Comes in a bag, and it's plug and play. Put it right in anywhere you have water flow in a filter. And then we have the larger jars. Just make sure you get obviously a filter bag for it. Okay, next. Biological filtration, ultra important. So there's all types of biomedias on the market that we're familiar with in our hobby and our journey in aquatics. Bioballs, there's very, very low surface area in bioballs though, and it requires a lot of space. And bioballs have smooth surfaces, so the flow of water generally, any type of bacteria that builds up, the good bacteria, generally gets blown off and gets started over again. So they do a little good, but they're generally just take up a lot of space and don't have a lot of surface area, and we can be much, much better. Sponges, they're easy to use, but they clog easily. And when you clean them, you lose your bacteria. They're not really good for any type of water flow through. So old school, good for certain situations, Ceramic media. Ceramic medias are really, really good, and they have high porosity, but they don't have a lot of good for anaerobic bacteria for control of nitrates. So there's some downfalls. So you have pros and cons. now. What if we can get something that has, get all the pros without the cons, so to speak? We have Matrix. Matrix is our biomedia, very, very affordable, very low price. This is our biomedia. And this has the highest surface area of anything on the market, not just us saying. It's been tested by several independent labs, and there's actually a process to quantify the pore or the surface area. So imagine 170 liters volume of bioballs. A 1 liter jar of Matrix has the same amount of surface area. So this means that we can get a powerful bacteria colony, much more bacteria to handle what we're putting in our aquarium. A lot of us overpopulate our aquarium, guilty. So this allows you to, again, be very, very efficient. You have a much smaller space devoted to a sump or a filter. This is your biomedia. So it's good for, and it has very, very good properties for aerobic and anaerobic bacteria. So that's another advantage. Very economical. So Matrix, that's our biomedia. It's really popular around the world. Google search it, do YouTubes, whatever. I think the whole country of Vietnam, this is their love. So this is in those little porous surface, all those tiny little pores. This is a representation of bacteria living in those pores. So it's just a representation. If you were to take a microscope and really look the tiny little pores to see how the bacteria colonizes in all these little spaces and these little pores in your biomedia. So another Hollywood movie, yay! Everybody hypnotized yet? Or just ready for lunch? I think, there we go. Now, we have tidal power filters. You may or may not have seen these, and they're in the back of the room, so you can come back and take a look later. These we developed in conjunction with our partner Seachem in Italy. So this wasn't an existing product that they said, hey, we'll put your name on it. This was something at Seachem that we wanted, as lifelong hobbyists, we wanted to improve the features and function of a hang-on filter. So we developed, going back and forth with them together, the tidal filter. As we know, most of these hang-on filters that existed on the market, they flood your floor. Maybe the power goes out and comes back on and you're not home. They burn up because they cannot prime themselves. Mostly they don't have good biological media. They were just a good way to get started, but not very efficient. The biggest thing that a hang-on filter offered as a benefit was it was just there. It's on the top, it's easy accessibility. But most of us as hobbyists, the more serious we get, we would move to other types of filtration, such as a canister filter. A canister filter we liked because it offered us flexibility. You can pull out a basket and we could layer in filtration medias as we chose, or as we needed, or as our customer needed. And that way we can pack full of our biological media as well. So tidal filters represent maybe the best of both worlds. The benefits of a canister filter, but with the ease and accessibility of a hang-on filter, such as the tidal. We have several different sizes of the tidal filter. That lid you can flip, it pulls off. We'll go through, actually I will, inside of this is a basket, a plastic basket that pulls up and out. And then in that basket is like a canister filter. You can layer medias as you choose. I hit the wrong button. Let's backtrack a second. Oh, this screen represents some secret product that we're working on at Seachem. Yeah. Okay, bad joke. Here we go. Got ahead of myself with the little clicker here. So, what you see here, there's a little maintenance monitor. There's a little cylinder here that sits over an overflow chamber that if the media in that basket gets impacted or just needs maintenance or cleaning, instead of flooding the floor or whatsoever, it's going to pop up and indicate to you or your customer that, hey man, you got to get in there, maybe there's something going on. to shift things around a bit or something needs cleaned. And then there's another chamber that overflows. So even that backed up water, if they're not cleaning it, it'll come back over the lip of the aquarium and flow back into the aquarium. So we're not going to be flooding your floor. Up here is the surface skimmer. There's the inlet. This is the only one on the market that actually has an intake at the surface. Well, that's a lot where you get a lot of the debris, a lot of the proteins and films. So that's excellent. That right there is always on. That's always on an intake. On the bottom, you have a this here will double in length. You can extend it downward. The bottom intake, you can turn off 100% with this little wheel or turn on 100%. It says off or on. And then the intake is always on. When you go back and look, we can take one out and show you more. And I think Luis is going to put one on his display. And you can see more of this that's better than just his picture. There's a little clip on the side where you can clip a submersible heater next to it as an option. The impeller and the motor are inside this little container here. The impeller well has a little seam, a little notch in it that it's self-flushing, it's self-cleaning, meaning the motor here and the impeller is self-cleaning and it adds a much longer lifespan to the impeller well. It flushes out grit and sand and other things that might get caught in there. Up here on the top, you can take maximum flow rate and you can turn it down 80% to just a little trickle. So you can get a little trickle if you choose, or maybe you're feeding and you don't want a vigorous flow, or you can turn it back on and get maximum flow. The water will go in and it goes down to the bottom and it goes up through the bottom of that filter basket. And there's a pre-filter sponge, and then it comes with Matrix Biomedia. Every tidal filter comes with a plastic zippered mesh bag that right out of the box you're ready to go with a pre-filter and your biological. And then about the other half of the space remaining in that filter basket, you can put any type of media as you choose. Phosphate removers, Purigen organic removals. Some people just add even more biological media. You have the choice. It's so flexible. That's what we like as a hobbyist. And then some other things like here, there's a little screw here where you can level the filter on the aquarium. So there's lots of features here that do make a difference on improving what's been a time standard product on the market. They all come with a 3-year guarantee out of the box, and if the customer goes online, the Seachem.com, and says, hey, I bought it at store X in Dubai, they get 2 more years. So basically there's a 5-year guarantee on this product. It's amazing. I don't think any of them have that on the market. So we have several different sizes. We have a 35, a 75, and a 110. Okay, this here, I'm not going to go over it in detail. This is just representative of all the types of information that are available with our team at St. Vincent and online. At Seachem.com, you can download and print these, or you can even email us and we'll arrange to get some to you somehow. But this is available showing all the different types of medias that we produce and what they're best at or what they will work at and maybe not the best at. So this allows you or your customers to understand all the options just at a glance. So most people will laminate one of these and put it somewhere in the shop near where the filtration media is, or put a little chain and clip it to the shelf. But we have lots and lots of information, so please don't worry about trying to remember everything we're just galloping through today. But so that's the filtration. Again, that was real down and dirty and real fast. And we even have more filtration medias that we didn't speak about today that we can even talk about later. So come see me after the presentation. Okay. Raju, are you here? How's our time? Because that's pretty much it, unless you want to.
Yeah, it was actually very nice and brief.
Okay.
To the point, we actually did 45 minutes.
Our two reef guys, we love you. But if we can have a chat afterwards about some of the reef products, and I'll be more than happy, Luis and I, to go over those. But due to time constraints, the reef category we're going to not do. But, and again, I feel like there's so much that I didn't talk about. But that's no fun to get it all at once, because it's a journey. So from my heart, I can't thank you enough for listening. This thing's driving me crazy. But from Seachem Company, we're a family-owned company at Seachem. Been in business for 45 years. We're one of you. This is our love. This is our passion. And to have you all turn out and care to hear us share information, seriously, beyond words, thank you. It's precious for us to share this time. Thank you. So, with no further ado,